Evening, everyone. Welcome to the 30th row. I'm going to put off my hand.
Thank you, Scott. We do have Pastor Darrell Hurst here from Dove Westgate to lead us in invocation. Pastor.
Father God, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. God, we thank you for this beautiful town of Lititz that was founded upon your precepts so many years ago. Thank you, God, for this beautiful community of people. And I thank you for a borough council and a mayor to oversee the affairs of this borough. I pray, God, for much wisdom for them. I pray, God, as they make decisions, they would be directed by your thoughts in your mind, and they would be able to do things in such a way that would provide and bring unity, peace, and prosperity to this borough. So we thank you again for just empowering them, and we thank you for all that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Flag.
To the republic, nation. Justice. Hey. First item for this evening is approval of the May 26th council minutes. Does anyone have any comments on that or like to make a motion?
I move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. I would like to announce that we had an executive session before this meeting that began at 6:30 to discuss real estate matters. Next, we're going to move on to presentations. We're fortunate tonight to welcome back Mayor Snyder, I believe, and Nelson Peters to do a presentation to the borough from the Young Men's Business League.
A little short. The league members would like to thank the Lititz Borough for granting the YMBL's presentation on tonight's agenda. Thank you for allowing us to come before you. Representing the YMBL in this American flag presentation are former Mayor Tim Snyder and myself, Nelson Peters, members of the Young Men's Business League, your neighbors across the street. As our Lititz community prepares to celebrate America 250, the YMBL would like to make a special flag presentation to the Lititz Borough. Therefore, on behalf of the league, Tim and I take pleasure in presenting you this flag as a token to represent America's 250th birthday and Lititz Borough's 270th founding anniversary. Also, to begin our community celebration of July 4th, America 250, I have requested Mayor John George to formally retire the current U.S. flag and install the presented flag on the municipal flagpole outside the Borough Hall. The mayor has agreed to do this, has agreed with this request with a formal flag ceremony tomorrow, July 1st. And if you're in town and available at 9 o'clock, that will happen. Again, we want to thank the Lititz Borough Council for their acceptance of this American flag for our community.
Thank you very much. Would you like to accept the flag for us, Mr. Mayor?
This is a commercial grade flag, folks. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey. You have any comments?
Yeah, I just have one comment. I mean, if you haven't noticed across the street, the Nelson was in charge of it, and he did a great job decorating the Young Men's Business League. And that was how it was decorated for the celebration of the end of World War II. And we had a picture of that, and it's been duplicated, and hopefully you enjoy the way that it's presented across the street. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to say also thank you to the Young Men's Business League. The ceremony, as Mr. Peters referenced, will be at 9 o'clock tomorrow outside the Borough Hall in the Police Department. Because that post is shared by both offices. Chief Hahn will also assist me in raising the flag. Boy Scouts Troop 142 from St. James Catholic Church will also be present to assist us in lowering the flag, giving it proper. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I hope the public
Thank
comes out
you.
and sees us.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. To get a picture.
If I could have.
Would you like to take it on?
Could I have Mayor?
Without the mic?
Yeah, I want to.
And by the way, we're thankful your council president is also a member of the YMBL.
Oh. On to the second item of our presentations tonight, 358 to 360 North Broad Street Apartments. I believe the applicant is here. Identify yourself, and I think, are you going to go ahead and do a presentation for us? That'd be great.
Oh,
Could you just use the microphone so the people online could hear you? Thanks.
Keith Good, CGA Architects, here to present a land development plan that we've been working on for Mr. John Eccleston, 358 to 360 North Broad Street. He's been through zoning approvals, conditional use approvals to allow the construction of a new 2-unit duplex apartment dwelling in the back of his property at 360 North Broad. There's currently a dilapidated barn in the location that this is going, that he's going to be taking down and constructing the new building. We've worked with both Elijah and Ben Craddock, the borough engineer, to get through all the details in the land development ordinance. This project entails, do you mind going to controlling it? So that right there is the existing conditions plan that shows see if my laser pointer doesn't show up on the screen. No. So that shows on 358 there's 2 units in a single family type structure, two apartment units. On 360 currently there's 4 apartments in the building along the street, and that's the barn that you see in the back. There is currently there's 2 driveways that serve the properties, one that splits the 358, 360 property, and then there's another driveway to the north, which is technically an alley that splits, I'm not sure if it's 362, I assume it's 362 to the north, and there's multi-family apartments back in the back of that property. If you could go, and there's also a parking area that's shared between the 2 properties currently and has been for 25 years. So you can go to the next page. This is our proposed plan that shows the new duplex in the back. It'll be a front porch entrance that splits into two dwellings. There'll be a basement in both units. The parking area, after a lot of working with staff and the engineer, we ended up coming up with a shared parking plan that works pretty well by expanding the parking in the dark gray areas and also creating a better ingress and egress for the property, so that we're controlling that flow better with arrows and signs for this property to get out onto the current alley shared driveway on the north of the 360 property. Yeah, that's we have a new water service that'll feed the new building, new electric service obviously feeds the new building, and a new sewer tap that serves into the sewer easement that flows to the west down through where those where those evergreen trees are there. So there'll be a new sewer tap for there. So that all the utilities are separate from the existing structures. Anybody have any questions on the kind of the layout of the property? And then I'll go through. We had a series of waivers that we needed to request. I'll go through those one by one.
Can you just go through quickly what the plan is for the ingress and egress from the property?
So the inn, that's going to be the inn for all the parking to come in. There's an arrow that we're painting there.
Okay,
So that all the traffic comes in there for this development, parks, and then they leave going out to the north and then out the current alley on the 360 side. Mr. Cleston, there was over the years, the shrubbery has grown really high around those driveways, making it making it the sight distance very difficult. So as part of this project, and he's already completed this work, he's removed all those shrubs to get better visibility. Even though that's the inn, we still wanted to make sure that we cleared up that sight distance and all. There was also an ornamental grass that was on the south side of the north driveway that was also blocking the view a little bit as you pull out there. So that work has already been done and completed by the owner.
thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll go through the waivers, and if anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to interrupt as you need. The first waiver would be Section 305 preliminary plan process. We requested a waiver to submit this as a preliminary/final plan due to the simplicity of the project in nature that was supported by both staff and engineer. Second waiver is Section 402-C-3, existing features within 200 feet of the property. We had the dark boundary is the boundary of the land survey that was completed by Trimble surveyors. It doesn't quite meet 200 feet, but we've surveyed everything within the property that is related to the development itself. And that was supported by staff and engineer. Section 406 wetland study. There's no physical observation of wetlands on the property, so to do a wetland study didn't really make sense. So that was again supported by staff and engineer. Existing street reconstruction. This would be reconstructing Broad Street, which was not proposed and would be a very difficult thing to do. So that waiver was requested for approval as well. Section 603.C.1, parking lot curbing. So to allow the stormwater to flow the way it currently does, we're requesting a waiver of curbing within the parking lot, and that was supported. We did provide parking bumpers in lieu of curbing around the property, and that was supported as well to help us allow sheet flow from stormwater across the property. Section 603.8.2, buffer planting. We had requested a waiver to install a 6-foot high screen fence to the buffer to screen the lot from adjacent properties to the west, with a caveat and reviewed with Elijah that there's already an existing 6-foot fence on the neighbor's property. So there's notes on the plan that if for some reason the neighbor would ever remove their fence, that this developer would be required to put up a fence on his side of the property. And in addition to that, there's also, what's the name of the neighbor too? I have the emails from them. There's a neighbor who's immediately to the west of the new building who actually has been using their backyard for their kids to play for years. He went to them and because there's actually a requirement to put a fence up because this development is more intense than their property. They requested, they actually put it in writing that they would prefer not to have the fence. So that waiver was also part of the waiver request. They wouldn't have a backyard if that fence went up. So he's very generous to let them play on the property. The next waiver would be section 603.B.4 sidewalk width. That's to allow the sidewalks from the parking structure into the new building at 3 foot wide instead of 4'6", which is a requirement in the ordinance, which is plenty of width for the 2 units. And that is to allow pedestrian walkway. I think that this waiver is related to the existing sidewalk along the street to allow the existing sidewalk to remain. There's retaining walls there. There's a curb on the other side, so there's really no way to widen that sidewalk width. That's section 606.C. 603.8.3 is to reduce interior landscaping percentage around the parking area from 5% to 3.4%. There's some caveats in the code that would allow that as long as we plant some additional trees and shrubs, which we showed on the plan. So that is technically a waiver, but we have provided additional shrubbing and plants to offset that requirement. Section 405.B, traffic impact study. To waive the requirement of the traffic study as the proposed development creates nowhere close to the 20 residential units described in the ordinance. And this, I believe, maybe the last one. Section 602.K is to allow the existing driveways to remain as they exist, which we talked about the flow of the site. And 602.F.7, clear site triangle center leg reduction to allow the center leg of the clear site triangle to be 30 feet in lieu of the required 100 feet. And that actually helps people come to a stop when they can't roll up to a stop and see down the road. And this is the last one. The stormwater ordinance. So we are actually adding less impervious coverage to the site than is required to do a stormwater plan. However, we're disturbing more area, which does trigger a stormwater plan. So we worked with the township engineer, the borough engineer, sorry, to use the small projects application and design the stormwater based on that small projects plan. And Ben and I worked together to actually increase the total volume that would be required for a small project plan, just because we felt it was helpful to the development and the neighbors. So those are the waivers that we have requested.
What was the number of the last one?
The small projects or the?
Yeah, small projects.
Section 103-18.A of the stormwater ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody have any questions they want to ask?
Yeah, does anyone on council have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm trying to follow the list here, and it appears that on the list of waivers and modifications requested, 405B is listed twice, but 602K is not listed, and this is on the most current set that we were provided.
On the cover sheet.
On the cover sheet. Yeah, so I just want to make sure that that's correct. 602K is not on, I have 602F7. And I have 405B
Do you mind going back?
listed twice. So I just want to make sure that we've got this right, because this is a lot to cover in a motion. Yeah, you mentioned 602K some with driveways. That was for the driveways. But it's not listed there on that list of modifications, so. Oh, okay, so you don't need the 602K for driveways.
I do not. I think it was, I
Okay.
think it's semantics on access drive versus driveways.
Got
So
it.
the engineer pointed out I didn't need it, but I did fill out an application originally.
Okay,
Probably printed it by mistake.
okay, thank you. Thank you for all of your work on this and for your attempts to get more housing into the community, which we need, and you know that, so thank you.
And there was
And-
there was a very positive review letter from the Lancaster County Planning Commission about the infill development for additional housing. So
Good, they like it when we
They do.
like it when we do this kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And I wish we could make it easier,
Yeah.
but I understand this was yeoman's effort to get this done
I
and
think John will attest to that.
appreciate the work
Yeah.
on it. I don't have anything. I have one comment on something else, but I'll see if anybody else has anything.
My only comment was, again, to appreciate your efforts and for the rest of council, there's a lot of relief here, but it's not a reflection on the plan or trying to get around things. It's a matter of an infill project coming in and not fitting into a standard subdivision land development ordinance where you're talking about building new. So that's the reason sort of for all of this relief of the type of project that it is. So.
So my one ask is, I noticed that you have identified a Zelkova for planting on your property. And I just wonder if you might consider using a native species there, versus the Zelkova. The borough's had issues with Zelkovas. You can go drive down 6th Street and see the Zelkovas there and see what kind of condition they're in. I think you might be able to do better if you just take a look at that. I don't think that's a condition of approval by any stretch.
We're happy to look at an alternative species. He actually asked me about it this morning. So we're
all 5 nurseries, none of them,
Okay.
they recommended an evergreen if we had to have a Zelkova. Recommended evergreen
Hmm.
and be small corn. My wife is.
Okay.
we'll take a look at some.
I think the ordinance has a list of natives.
Mhm. They do.
There's a list of approved street trees and shade trees. Zelkova is one of them.
Yeah,
But that's something that we can assist them with.
sure.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's where that came from. Yeah.
A hybrid elm might be a good
Okay.
option to look at. So,
Sounds good.
that is all I have. So are we ready to make a motion? Oh, yeah.
Is anyone here in the audience this evening to have a comment on this plan? Or online? Here to me?
Is there somebody online? No.
No. So it does look like we are at a point where we could, if we wish, to make a motion on this. I think we have somebody who's crafting one up here.
Yeah, I'll do my best. So, I move to approve the preliminary final land development plan for 358 and 360 North Broad Street with the following waivers or modifications. Section 305, Section 402C3, Section 406, Section 602A7, Section 603C1, 603A2, and 603B4, Section 606G, I believe was the right, if I can read my own writing. Section 603A3, 405B, 602F7, and 10318A.
I think it was 606C.
606C, thank you.
Wonderful. So we have a motion on the plan and on the relief that's up in front of us tonight. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
Thank you very much.
Luck with your project. Okay. That finishes up the presentation section for this evening. Next, we're going to move into ordinances. We have an ordinance 626 for solicitation. Is there someone up front here or the chief, someone that's going to present that to us? Or the mayor?
As chief would like to, I'm happy to. This, of course, we brought this to you before for public advertisement. This is a request to tighten our obligations to approve vendors who want to solicit in the borough. This simply gives us the authority to reject individuals who have significant criminal records. And so we felt that the prior language was more silent on that, and this is very specific. That gives us the right to turn down if we think the person may be a threat to the community.
Anything to add, chief? No? Okay. Does anyone on council have any questions about the ordinances in front of us? No?
What was the current fee for solicitation?
I'm not aware of the fee. We'll have to go back to the fee schedule and look at that, right?
But you've adjusted the fee based on where you think it should be now.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have the authority to adjust the fee. That would have to be a borough council decision.
Sure.
So this is only language to tighten up who we can say no to.
And typically the fees are passed by resolution, and that way they can be done without advertisement and going through kind of the multi-month process for the ordinance amendment. So that's something that can be changed by resolution on the fee schedule next month,
Okay.
if desired.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience have any questions on this ordinance in front of us? Online? No? So it looks like it's time for a motion.
Move to approve ordinance C-626 regarding chapter 87 peddling and soliciting to better regulate activities in the borough.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That ordinance passes. So we're moving right on to resolutions. We have resolution 1036 for the sale of a backhoe. It looks like we're going to be selling a 2008 Caterpillar backhoe from the Public Works Department, and we're going to be doing that online. Does anyone have any questions about that resolution? No? If not, a motion to approve that resolution to sell the backhoe?
Make a motion. S 106, sell back.
Second.
Public Works Department.
Sorry.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful. Next resolution, 1037. It's the 2026 Moravian Manor financing. I believe Elijah can explain that one to us.
If the attorney isn't in the audience, and I'm guessing he's not, so these are similar to other continuing care community financing resolutions. They're done through various authorities. I believe this one is, if I'm not mistaken, North Lebanon. Yeah, North Lebanon Township. And as part of that condition, because they're an authority, they require the municipality to essentially endorse that this project is worthy of this tax exempt financing. It doesn't impact our taxation at all. It is enables Moravian Manor to get a better rate. And I believe this is for phase 3, which was recently approved by council.
Okay, thank you. Any questions based on that explanation? No? Look for a motion on this resolution.
Make a motion to approve resolution 1037 for the 2026 Moravian Manor financing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that one carries. One more resolution tonight. We have resolution 1038, Public Works Labor and Equipment Fees. What am I looking at for that one?
I think that's
You can take it?
Well, I'll give a shot.
There we go.
So this motion is, this resolution is amending chapter 55 of the fees. So this will allow council to reinstate fees and allow future fees to be adopted via resolution. And it also allows the Borough Council to establish a schedule of fees, charges, and expenses to be charged in connection with administration. So this is like for labor, equipment, it goes down through per hour, if you've seen this in your packets. You want to add anything at all, Rob?
Great.
Okay. We have questions?
Is there a question? Nope. We're looking for a motion then.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution 1038.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. So the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items that they feel should be pulled out of the consent agenda? Any council members? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Agenda posted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful. Consent agenda passes. Next, we will move to the treasurer's report.
You want me to go, Scott?
Yes, please.
Okay. The treasurer's report is a hard copy in front of everyone. Nothing major to report this month. If you take all of our funds together, expenses outgained revenue substantially, but that is kind of normal for this time of year. However, all the ending balances are sufficient for all of our funds.
Thank you very much for the report. Looks like we have one item to act on under that.
You do a motion? All right, like to present a motion to approve the June DMA MS4 invoice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Recuse myself from that one. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next, the council members forum. First one we're going to start with is water and sewer.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to take a minute to elevate an issue that was included in your packets. The Water and Sewer Committee has been looking at doing due diligence on continuing with fluoride treatment. This review was originally brought to our attention when the global supply chain issues forced the borough to temporarily stop including fluoride in the water treatment process. In addition, the committee review included consideration of the handling of fluoride at the water treatment plant. Currently, we are not handling the fluoride. It is not stored in a way that is compliant with current permit standards. We are in compliance with our permit, but our permit is an older permit. So we're looking at some pretty substantial upgrades in order to upgrade our chemical handling. So that has, these two things together have elevated this issue of fluoride in our water, so that we are taking a closer look at that. And we'll be gathering more information and coming back to you with any further recommendations in the coming months. So just wanted to bring that to your attention and see if anybody on council has any questions that you would like us to explore in the next month. We're not prepared to answer questions tonight, but if you have any concerns or questions that you'd like us to consider and get back to you on, we'd be happy to hear those from you tonight. Cover that okay? Satisfaction? Okay.
Are there any questions from any council members regarding that presentation from water and sewer?
Just wondering if we have reached out or thinking about reaching out to like other communities to see what they're doing with their fluoride.
Yeah, there are very few communities who are even using fluoride.
Okay.
We're one of, and I can't remember the number. I did say I wasn't going to answer any questions. But I will say that we are one of very few communities in Pennsylvania who is still using fluoride. So we'll get back to you with details on that and some specific numbers in the future.
So a follow-up to that would be why we're using it at this point. Has to do with the type of water that we're using and that kind of thing?
Yes, we'll get back to you on that. But fluoride is used as a dental health addition. And I presume our secretary's capturing those questions for me so that we can support
Sure is.
our staff person from the committee.
I got two, so
That's good, thank you.
thank you for the update and the presentation on that. Is there anything else from water and sewer this evening? No?
Nope.
Nope.
Thank you.
Great. We're gonna move on to streets and traffic.
Okay. So we are looking for council to approve to advertise the North Cedar four-way stop signs that we talked about before. We had an engineer do a study and he found the four-way stop sign was warranted at that intersection of North Cedar and North New Streets. So the ordinance is amending chapters 115 of the Vehicle and Traffic Code to establish the four-way stop sign at that intersection. Also looking to amend to make Pine Lane a one-way. So a crash, if I have my details right, Chief, crash occurred at Pine Lane and Orange Street, it looks like on June 1st. So that's what brought it to our attention, because this alleyway is two ways currently. So the police looked into the borough also reached out to our engineer to look into this further, and the width of that alley has it's a tight fit for two vehicles. The sight distance is an issue coming out of the alley onto Orange Street. So there's suggestions to making this alley potentially a one-way from West Orange down the alley, Pine Alley, to jump out onto West Main Street by the fire pumping. I know, I use buildings and more than ever. Right, yeah, northwest, going north. So that's in this ordinance to advertise, to discuss. Does anybody have any questions about those two? Nope.
Or does anyone in the public have any questions about either of those items that we're going to be advertising? And again, this is an advertisement to put it out to the public. It will be acted on at the next council meeting. This isn't making it happen. This is simply advertising it to happen. So if anybody does have any questions, if you do, if you could come up to the microphone and just sort of state your name and then address your question.
Bob Bergman, just wondering if they've considered the south side of Pine, then up the other way. Like, you're talking about going down towards the fire hall, but
Sure. Do you have any feedback on that, Chief? Is that something that was considered? So I guess the question is, was there a consideration of making any other sections of Pine Lane one way other than the section between Orange and West Main? Sure, that would be great. Yeah.
The short answer, no, not in this discussion. The main concern arose from feedback that we were getting about cars who were making a right onto, well, or a left, depending on which way you're coming, onto Pine Lane as if you were going to head towards the firehouse. That section, as opposed to the opposite side of Orange, is a particular concern because as you're turning on, it is more difficult to see going that way. So a lot of the feedback was indicating that the car turning in was coming head on to a car that's about to come out. You have two choices at that point. Either a car has to try to back down the alley to a point that they could get off onto somebody's driveway and let the other car pass, or the car turning in would have to try to back out onto Orange Street to let that car coming out. And I'd certainly be happy to look at other areas of Pine Lane. I know from personal experience from turning down there many times, that is a more frequent occurrence, turning onto that block of Pine Lane as opposed to turning the opposite direction and going south on Pine Lane from the intersection.
Hey, thank you for the explanation. Oh. North. Correct. You could go from Orange to West Main. Yep. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, I think we would be looking for
Scott, we got one online here.
online. Sorry,
Karen.
Okay,
Good evening. Can you hear me?
we can.
Thank you. Hi, this is Karen Weibel, 202 North Cedar Street. I'm not speaking to Pine Lane. I am speaking to North Cedar Street. I'd actually like to know when you'll be notifying the closest neighbors to this intersection as to your plans. There are 4 residences directly on this intersection, but there are 5 families living in those residences. And then in the following 3 homes from the intersection, there are another 6 families, I believe, that probably should be directly notified of this change. And I say that for 2 reasons. These homes are all directly on the sidewalk. There's absolutely no front yard. There is no setback. Mary and Scott, I know you have direct knowledge of what this means. to your life because it can be pretty disruptive. So I think these people ought to be notified so that they truly understand what's going to go on here. And then secondly, because this traffic study is not online or that I could find, Elijah, can you tell me how many vehicles a day, like give or take, weekdays, let's not even talk about weekends, weekdays, how many vehicles a day will be stopping at a new four-way stop on North Cedar Street? Are we talking 100, 500, 1,000? What are we talking about here?
So Karen, I don't have the traffic study in front of me at this point, but I can follow up with that with you via email.
Would you mind following up with the neighbors? Because they really don't have a good understanding of what's going on here. I've talked to several of them and they're clueless. So if you are expecting that a legal note is going to inform them, I can tell you that it's not going to.
Sure. I mean, we'll get back, Karen, we'll get back to you with an answer to your question. It will be advertised. I don't know that we typically would notify neighbors. Is that something we've done in the past?
We can notify neighbors of the proposed change. I'm wondering if it's if you would want us to say that there is the average daily traffic in that letter, if most people are going to understand what that means.
I think maybe providing them with a copy of the advertisement that everyone else is going to see as part of the what we're voting on this evening, so that to make sure that they see that would be fine if you'd want to distribute that to those 4 properties.
Is it possible for you to post that study online, please?
I have to check with the traffic engineer to see if that's available, whether prior to decisions being made. So if I'm not mistaken, there's a confidentiality clause on that. So I just want to make sure that we're fine releasing it at this point in time.
I mean, do I really have to file a right to know just to figure out how many vehicles are going to be stopping in front of my house? You guys, this is a little absurd.
So I will get back to you because again, I don't have the study in front of me at this point, Karen.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Aren't we discussing to advertise?
Correct.
Wouldn't the conversation happen after we advertise in terms of educating people about?
Correct. Yeah, this will put it out, and at the next meeting following advertisement, we would look to move forward with action on the resolution for that. So I think if we don't have any other comments, we'd be looking for a motion to advertise these 2 changes.
Make a motion to advertise North Cedar 4-way stop sign and Pine Lane 1-way amendment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have those items advertised.
Excuse me, if I could just suggest that perhaps the Streets Committee, I know that when you went out and made the change on the street where we did away with the parking on one side.
Layman?
Yes. I know that we went out and met on location with the residents. I wonder if it might be possible to just arrange a time to go out and have a conversation with them at that intersection. Have the chief go along and just have some conversation with the residents there about that, just to bring some attention to it. And also, I believe that the committee is looking at some other traffic calming measures perhaps that could be instituted there.
Correct.
So.
I would be willing to do that.
And
Chief, come along with me? Okay.
yeah, I'd be happy to come along if the other member of your streets committee wasn't able. Yeah, the streets committee. Okay. Thank you. Because I do think that when we're making changes in our community and there's a request for a little bit of more engagement with the residents, I think if we can do that, it's always helpful.
Sure.
Great. I think the next item on the agenda is an update on where we're at with the park mobile transition. And I think we might have a presentation to go along with that. Sure, that would be great.
Please. You put a nice little slideshow for us.
So obviously I won't get too far into the history of how we got to this point, but here we are. So the actual implementation of the park mobile system to replace the current parking meter system is in progress. So Rob, if you don't mind going to the next slide. So this is just a basic overview. The burgundy shaded streets are the current footprint of where the parking meter heads are. Expanding to the park mobile system does not change that footprint. It simply just takes the existing parking system that is there and replacing it with park mobile. The yellow rectangular diagrams with the numbers are the park mobile assigned parking zone numbers. So as people park in whatever zone they're at, they go to pay. They need to know what zone they're in. This map overlays how those zones look on the footprint, but as you are parking, there'll be signs on the street that indicate to you what parking zone that you're currently in. Also plotted on the map, the two circular icons are the proposed locations for the two kiosks. So they would be appropriate for people who want to pay either using cash or change, or they want to insert or tap a debit or credit card. They would be the locations if you wanted to park using those payment methods. That's where you need to get to. Otherwise, if you're paying through the app, if you're scanning the QR code to pay, if you're paying by phone, paying by text, you could do all of that from the parking spot that you're currently at. So this is a markup of what the park mobile sign will look like on the left. That's what's been provided by Park Mobile. They are they are providing us all the signs that we need at no cost. That's a service they provide by signing on. It indicates the zone number, different ways to pay, the QR code, basic information. And then if you look at the picture, that's an example of what the sign would look like on an existing post. So the plan is Public Works will go through and take off all the existing parking meter heads. And then these signs, obviously coordinated with the zone number, will be placed on the parking meter post. Now, there's been some discussion with Public Works as far as the frequency of the signs compared to the posts. Having one sign on every single post could get awful busy. So the discussion is perhaps scaling those signs back to one sign every 2 posts or one sign every 3 posts. We currently are getting those signs in. Not all of them are in, but they're starting to filter in. So we will have a sign for every existing post. So even if we don't post on every post, there will be a reserve and stockpile that if at some point in the future we felt like the increase or the frequency of the signs needs to be decreased so they're not as far apart, we could add them and we already have them in stock. So this is an aerial view of the downtown generally. It may be hard to see the detail depending on where you're seated, but the black dots represent the current parking meter locations. The green dots represent the proposed parking kiosks, those 2 locations. And then each of the 2 blue circles correspond individually with each of the park mobile kiosks. And then you can see there's 2 circles converge. So that's a walkability, walking buffer. By putting them there, it shows you how, that could potentially impact what the walking distance is to or from the kiosk from different points in town. Elijah, can you refresh my memory if you know what that distance is per circle?
I think it was either a 5 or a 10-minute walk, and it may be on the legend. I can't see it from my seat.
Okay.
But essentially, I was looking at an average walk speed and distance.
Okay, thank you.
For some reason, 5 is sticking out in my mind, but please don't hold me to that.
Got it. Okay. Rob, next, please. So this is just a bit of a status update as far as where we are. The columns to the left are just kind of a general description of different tasks that are associated with implementing the Park Mobile system. Going across the top row, breaking out the months, and then some comments off to the side. So you can see what's been done so far. A lot of the back end configuration, setting up the plan, the detail with Park Mobile. Currently, the signs are starting to arrive. There was a rep that was out there, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, checking the sites physically of the proposed kiosks to make sure, there's sufficient space, sufficient size, sufficient sun coverage because it is solar powered. So the kiosks are at this point ordered. They're on their way. They're roughly estimating August. So then the plan, obviously, coordinate that with Public Works. Once the kiosks are installed, then to start transitioning the infrastructure physically of the parking meter heads to then post the signs. So that'll be a coordinated project with Public Works to figure out how the meters come off in connection to when the signs go up, if it's a block by block thing, or how we strategize that. And then estimated around September, the system would go live. The plan is to make the system go live with it completely built out, meaning the signs are posted, the kiosks are installed and operational, as opposed to trying to piecemeal it where the kiosks maybe arrive first and that system exists at the same time as the current parking meter system exists, and it just confuses people as far as which one they're supposed to use. So our plan for it was just to do a clean transition once the entire system is built out, installed, and ready to go. So again, some of this could be subject to change depending on some unforeseen circumstances. If the delivery is delayed or Public Works has to delay swapping out the meters for the signs because of a water main break, et cetera, some of the unplanned things. But I think this is a safe assumption for tentatively what you could anticipate moving forward. So.
Great. This was a really great update. I know it's been a little bit since we talked about it the first time, and to make sure that the public and council is updated as to where we're at. So it seems like we're on schedule, based on where we started from at the beginning of this, and hopefully by the end of the summer we're operating.
And I'll give another update towards the end of summer, or if there's some sort of significant happening that is worth calling out. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, happy to answer questions about where we are going or where we've come from.
Yeah, I have a question about the number of zones. I use the Park Mobile system in Lancaster City all the time, and they have basically 2 zones for the entire city. How did we arrive on having zones that are half a block long?
So yeah, the intent was to keep the zones on one side of the street from one cross street to the next. And the main driver of that at this point is the enforcement piece of it. Because the enforcement piece that is the intended rollout component would require looking at a software that would list all the cars in that zone that are either paid, or if they're not listed, not paid. So the concern was, if you make a zone 4 or 5 blocks, that's a lot of vehicles to have to try to verify as you go. So one of the plans with the enforcement, I mean, that's certainly where we're going to start, because we can integrate that into the process that we currently use now to enforce. But to have a little bit of experience, whether it's 3, 6, 9, 12 months into it, to look at if there is a more efficient, a better way to integrate an enforcement system into Park Mobile, because there is different technology that we can integrate, like a handheld scanner. But to get it started and kicked off, that was the logic to it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that explanation. And what did you say the size of the green signs is?
12 by 18, I recall. I believe it's 12 by 18. I have one downstairs, but
Yeah, that's really big. But
well, I mean, I'll confirm that. That's what stuck out to
It
me.
is 12 by 18.
Well, okay.
yeah, that's
Right. So that was also part.
Inches by 18 inches.
That was part of the
Yeah.
discussion too about evaluating the frequency of, is it necessary to have one on every meter post? It seems to be a little too frequent. So the idea was to start at 2 or 3, every 2 or 3, and then we can adjust from there. We'll have the signs if we need them. If we don't need them, they can be stored.
Or they can be backups in case one gets damaged or.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
Was there an option for different sizes? Or is this what we get with the?
I don't think there was a smaller option.
No,
if
I
my
think-
collection serves. I think this was the smallest that they would provide.
Because in Lancaster, they're
They're like
short,
this big.
stubby, yeah, like little
Yeah.
square blocks, but sometimes they're almost missed. They're almost too
Ye-
small.
yeah.
sometimes.
And I've
So-
even
Yeah.
seen it too in other cities where the meter head is chopped off and there's just a small little
Mhm.
like 3x3 sticker that.
Right. I
Right.
would miss that.
Okay.
I like the idea of spacing them out and then seeing how that
Mhm.
looks.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sign clutter.
Right. And
So fewer is better. However, it also concerns me that people may overlook that and, you know, see one up ahead, but it's in a different zone. And so, you know, we'll
that's-
play it out and
and that's
see
the
how it
balance we're
goes.
trying to strike is right, like the aesthetic piece of it
Mm.
versus the practical piece of it. So
If we do like every other, and are they going to cut the heads off of the one in between? Will it just be a post there? Will it
Correct.
be like a
yeah, Public Works
safety
expressed they're
issue?
concerned about taking the post out entirely because then they have to repair the ground. And then if at any point in the future you'd want to increase the frequency, if the posts are out, you're not having to reinstall all of that.
We're just going to have a post sticking out of the ground.
Right. And I mean, we could certainly explore what the best use for that is, whether you supplement the signage with stickers on the alternative posts to just add another indication that's not a sign.
Okay. Just take it day by day.
I love how the opening picture on the first slide has people crossing not at a crosswalk. Not.
Don't do that.
Yes. Discouraged.
Thank you for the update, Jared.
Chief, I know you've been in touch with the Merchants Association around this plan, so if there's any more update from them about your plan and how this is being worked out?
Yeah, so we, even as recently as last week, getting feedback from some of the merchants that they continue to struggle to help people try to navigate the current meter system, just not understanding how it operates. So the feedback that we continue to get is that's still a concern. And a lot of them have expressed they've had experience with Park Mobile elsewhere and are looking forward to the transition.
You know, I was downtown today and I witnessed 3 people trying to use their credit cards in the system.
Right.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Difficult for them. This is a great option. Thank you for working.
Sure.
I have one last question. If I show up 10 minutes early before time is due, can I pay for an hour before it starts charging or not? If I'm 10 minutes early.
So
The
my-
reason I ask is it happened to me. We were 10 minutes early, went to Park Mobile, couldn't apply until for another 10 minutes you couldn't sign up. So if I show up early and we don't start charging till 7, 8 o'clock, and I get there at quarter of, I need to be reminded to, in 15 minutes, go back and apply because I didn't. And 10 minutes later, it was supposed to be at 10 o'clock, 10:10. I had a $35 fine for not hitting my Park Mobile. So I'm curious if there's a way that says, you know, if you're early, you can buy the time, or do you have to wait till the fee starts and go from there?
So that was shared as part of our discussion with Park Mobile. It is there's a kind of a philosophical, do you want to have people come at midnight and still pay the meter? And so that seems to be the two settings is either you can pay whenever you come, whether it's required or not, or you put the guardrails on so that if it's outside that, they don't have to, it's not asking. It essentially says you don't have to pay, it's free parking. That's something we can ask our contact, whether it's on the front end, which is I think would be the issue, if it would allow payment kind of maybe an hour prior to it, instead of it being an all or nothing. So that is something that we can follow up on.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know just because I didn't even think about it. But we were at the shore till I got all my junk where I wanted it. I'm like, oh, sugar. And well, it was too late.
Yeah, and the good thing is we have plenty of time until we're at that point to iron out some of these details.
Yeah, I was just curious if there is a way to, you know, have it that you're allowed a half an hour before start charging, or
Or it's just open like our meters now. You can stuff money. When I was walking to the council meeting tonight at 6:15, somebody was stuffing quarters in the meter. I mean, I didn't say anything to them, but I mean, it ended 15 minutes before that, so it was a donation to the borough at that point.
Right.
But yeah, so right now it's free to put money in any time. You can.
Right.
You can come at midnight and stuff the thing full of quarters if you want.
Exactly. And we could have it set up that way, or we could put some guardrails. And I think essentially our posted enforcement may be 6 o'clock, but the system would allow you to start paying at maybe 5, but we can get into the details of that.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks. Good question. based on experience. Okay. Hey, thanks for the presentation. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. I believe next we have the Personnel and Benefits Subcommittee report.
Yes, since our mayor is so busy, we are proposing a job description for a part-time, non-paid summer internship for the mayor. The office of the mayor of Lititz is seeking a motivated, community-minded high school student for a unique summer internship. This position is designed to provide local youth with direct hands-on exposure to local government, civic leadership, and public service. Working closely with the mayor, the intern will assist with community outreach, public relations, historical research, and administrative tasks that celebrate and support the Borough of Lititz. This is an unpaid educational internship opportunity. We're trying to expose some of our students and young people about government, municipal government, and this is a great way to do that. I'll turn it over to the mayor to describe any more details about the key responsibilities and how you're going to keep this person busy.
Thank you, Jerry. Just a point of clarification, the idea came from a young lady who would like to recommend be appointed as the first intern to the mayor. So Izzy Wolf came to me and said, would we consider creating this position as an intern? And the more I thought about it, I recognized that anytime we can create opportunities for students to be engaged in local government, anytime we can create opportunity to hear students' voices about what's happening and what we could make better, I think we should pursue those opportunities to help young people develop, as they will be our future leaders down the road. So the more I thought about it, I said, this is a great idea. And we're hoping to institutionalize this program. So every year we can invite high school students who are interested in civics and in local government to come forward and see how they can assist our community. So I want to commendate Izzy for her initiative and for her willingness to step up and put her to take a leadership role and bring this idea forward. Obviously, as you clarified, this is an unpaid position. This is a volunteer position, and the job description reflects all of that. And we recognize that the intern does not speak for the borough, but is rather there to assist. Some of the initial activities we would like to pursue is how we communicate. What does the community think about the borough's interface with the public? Is our website user-friendly? Are we giving the message that we want to give? Is it reflecting our values? Do people use it? They use it. What do they go there for? Can they find the information they need? So Izzy's going to, if approved tonight, is going to talk to some public members and get a perspective of what does the public think about how we communicate with the community. And there are other tasks that will come up from time to time. But that's really, I think, the primary role that we're going to explore this summer. So I'm hoping that you would both approve the position and approve Izzy Wolf as the first intern to the mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Questions from Borough Council members or the public regarding the first internship for the mayor of Lititz?
I think it's a great idea. Good initiative.
Agreed.
Comments from the public? Questions? Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the position for the intern of the mayor of Lititz as a part-time, non-paid summer internship, starting July 1st, 2026.
Second.
You got it. Mary got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay,
So.
that was for the position. Then I think you want to
The
appoint.
candidate, and I know you had already did some interviewing, and so why don't you go
Sure.
ahead and present that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Izzy Wolf is being recommended to be the intern to the mayor. She is a rising junior at Warwick High School. She's a long-term honor roll student from middle school on consecutively year after year after year. Her list of clubs that she belongs to are lengthy. I know Civics Club, government club. Izzy, let me see if I pull your resume up. There's just so many. Maybe Izzy would like to say a few words and just,
That would be great.
just give us a little bit about your background. Please.
Into the microphone because we do have people online.
Okay. So I guess like a little bit about me is that like I want to become a lawyer. That's what I want to go to college for. I'm really interested in anything politics, anything law, anything that's happening in our community. I'm really like I just really care about like what's going on because like also as a teenager like you can't really it's hard to get involved in your community when you without joining like a civics club that's directly tied to the community. So I thought this internship would be a great way to pursue my love of politics and also just really see that if this is something I'm interested in, how does it work and do I have the like stamina to do this every day and if like this is again like a career path for me. So yeah.
And the
Wonderful.
philosophy club, I'm trying to say model United Nations club, civics club, history club,
Yeah.
and lacrosse.
Yup, I got a lot.
Thank you for
great.
your leadership and stepping up and bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending. Thank you. Any questions, comments? If not, I will make a recommendation that we approve Izzy Wolf as the interim to the mayor of Lititz, effective July 1st, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Congratulations and thank you.
Chair, I have one other item.
Sure.
quickly. So the International Associations of Chiefs and Police have a drug evaluation classification program. And one of our officers has been selected as one of the outstanding 1,100 participants of that program. And so I'm here to have the chief talk a little bit more about that outstanding award.
A drug recognition expert, DRE, as it's commonly referred, is an officer who is specially trained to detect drivers who are under the influence of drugs other than alcohol. They go through extensive training, they perform an evaluation, they determine what category or categories of drugs somebody is under the influence of while they're driving. They're then qualified as an expert witness to provide expert testimony in court to establish to the court during a trial that the person was indeed under the influence. It's an international program. There's about 8,000 DREs across the world. In 2025, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, who coordinates the program, published their annual report. They acknowledged Sergeant Tyler Weinholt nationally in their report as being one of only 17 drug recognition experts in the entire United States to conduct more than 50 drug influence evaluations in 2025. Additionally, he was the 7th most active drug recognition expert in the entire United States. So he's called to assist in complex drug impaired driving investigations, whether they're crashes or somebody stopped for some reason. He's been called out throughout Lancaster County, beyond Lancaster County, most recently qualified as an expert witness in a trial to assist another Lancaster County agency. So it's a valuable resource that's rooted here, and it shows his commitment, and I think also the agencies, to making the streets safer through impaired driving. In Lancaster County, there's, I believe, only 4 or 5 municipal police officers credentialed as a drug recognition expert, and we have 2 of them here in Lititz Borough, Sergeant Weinholt obviously being the one that we're speaking to tonight. So just wanted to call out his accomplishment, and to be recognized nationally by the International Association of Chiefs of Police is quite an honor for him.
Thank you, Chief, for that introduction and report. Again, it signifies the professionalism of your department under your leadership, the quality of police officer we have here in the borough, drug enforcement, mental health training, community engagement in our community. So thank you so much for the leadership of that department and providing this opportunity for him to get honored in this way.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Good. Hey, thank you for your presentation this evening. Next we have the Subcommittee on Planning and Development.
Thank you very much. Let me pull up the agenda here and see what I've got. So we are seeking approval tonight from council to advertise an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance, chapter 122, to permit solar in the historic district. Changes to no longer require a conditional use for demolition of historic accessory structures, and other minor updates and clarifications to the zoning ordinance. So this is simply an ordinance, an advertisement, approval to advertise these amendments. Elijah, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think that covered kind of the highlights. I can get into any of the smaller details if anyone has questions, but it is a lot of housekeeping, updating section references, driveway construction materials, things like that.
And just like the other ones, we'll see this again next month.
This one will actually be in August.
In 2 months.
In 2 months. So county planning is required to review ordinance amendments to both the zoning and the SAUDO. They have essentially a 45-day review window. So we're not really allowed to pass it until they've at least had a chance to review. So this will be for August.
This has been discussed and approved and reviewed and approved through the Planning Commission and also through the Historic Area Advisory Committee, who assisted with the solar and energy system amendments. So,
Good. Any questions from council on these items that are going to be advertised? Any questions from the public about this advertisement? No. Guess we'd look for a motion then.
move to approve the advertising of the ordinance amendment as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful. Anything else from planning and development this evening?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to the reports of the mayor.
I'm sorry, there will be no planning commission meeting next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, the reports of the mayor and the chief. Mayor, would you like to go first?
Just one more brief update from of the items we covered here tonight. Back on June 12th, the Lititz Historical Foundation had an event recognizing the 270th anniversary of Lititz Borough. At that event, Representative Mindy Fee presented the borough with a resolution passed in Harrisburg recognizing the Lititz and all the great things that we do in this community. Unfortunately, I failed to bring a copy of that here with me tonight, but I want to let you know that we do have that resolution sponsored by Representative Fee acknowledging Lititz's 270th anniversary.
Thank you. Anything else in your report this evening?
No, I think that's plenty for tonight.
Okay, chief, are we getting you back to the microphone or you're all good? Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful. Reports from the managing directors. Does everyone have anything to add to their reports?
I think the only thing, just for the public's knowledge, that we actually got the go-ahead to move to bidding from the state for the runabout line. So we're waiting on to hear back from Norfolk Southern about when that pre-bid meeting could be. Other than that, my understanding is the tip was passed locally, and now it goes to the feds for approval. And the tip is the Transportation Improvement Program, and this has about $1 million, $900,000 of trail construction funding for 29 and 30. The only piece that's missing then, assuming that's approved, is acquisition of the right-of-way from Norfolk Southern, which we have a grant application submitted for that as well.
Sure. With the pre-construction meeting line to happen soon, is this a fall 26 project or a spring 27 project?
That's a very good question. I don't have the answer to that, and I'm waiting from Norfolk Southern. They were hopeful that they could, but I think we're kind of right on the edge of that. So I have to wait for their insight.
Okay.
Everybody cross your fingers.
It's happening either way, just how soon. So, okay. Other end of the table.
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add? Great. Now we come to the part of the meeting where if anyone in attendance has something they'd like to say, you're welcome to come to the microphone, state your name, and let us know. If not, anyone online? Oh, we got one.
I'm Bruce Stauffer. I live on Sixth Street in Moravian Manor. Concerning traffic, speed on Sixth Street, and also we were in here some time back to request four-way stop signs on Sixth Street and General Sutter. There were surveys taken of that, I believe, but I always considered they took it at the wrong locations to get the traffic on the upper portion of, let's call it the southern portion of the Sixth Street is where I live, and I can tell you there is way too much speed coming out of the roundabout. And and with a four-way stop sign down at the Sixth Street General Sutter intersection would really make a difference in helping with that. But I'd say we should study that whole area. Thank you.
Sure. I believe we did look at the stop sign. I don't think it met warrants. Is that accurate?
Correct. And four-way stop signs cannot be used for speed control. They have to meet crash or sight distance. And that being a new development had plenty of sight distance, and the crash volumes aren't what's at the requirement. If you recall, we put one in at Kissel Hill in 6th, I believe it was last year, and that one had just met the crash warrants after the roundabout was open in Warwick Township.
So we need crashes.
Or because the sight distance there is adequate because it's a modern development.
And we're right in the middle of a retirement village where people don't walk too fast. So it might be more than a crash.
So this again comes from state law. We've reviewed this here before. This is not a borough law. This is state law.
Yeah.
And without a warrant analysis, you can't legally put up a four-way.
So if you drive Sixth Street, every cross street has a four-way stop sign. Check it out. We don't.
Are there medians there on General Sutter to the east and west or Center Island? It appears from the picture I'm looking at that there are small center islands there. Is that true? Those are not there?
I think that's the other. That's on Sutter.
On Sutter, right, on Sutter.
He's worried about 6th.
I understand. So just wanting to just make sure I'm looking at the right intersection and I'm seeing,
Right.
and it looks like there are some painted markings here on Sixth Street,
Yeah, there's pedestrian crossings there.
right?
There's some other like slightly elevated tables, I believe.
Are there tables there?
I think where those
Okay.
white markers
They're
come
leading
into
up to
to
where
a table. Yeah.
is.
Yeah, the arrows that are on the pavement lead up to a raised portion of the road.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
it's cars coming from, I just want to make sure I understand the concern. So it's cars that are heading north on Sixth Street, headed towards
Yeah.
Orange, basically.
Or after school, they're going the other direction.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I stood in that intersection where you were at, and absolutely, I
Yeah.
counted 12 cars around 3:30 or 4 o'clock coming down there, really over the speed limit.
Yeah, I
I
think
wish there was something we could do. I know there's circumstances that are required before studies can be done, but I wonder if there's some other preventive things we can do to mitigate that. There's going to be another building constructed, and we have the Ridge apartment, actually Ridge apartment. So there is, as people learn that crossway over to 772, there's more traffic coming through West Sixth Street.
the design of the street coming off of what I'll call the old Sixth Street from Keller Brothers Ford coming toward that curve that enters into Moravian Manor there, I think has some design to help slow traffic down, but they don't know ahead of time that there's a curve ahead and they come flying around that corner pretty good.
This is somewhere that's been mentioned several times by different residents, so maybe streets and traffic could work it into their to-do list to look at that.
I'll add it to my list.
Yeah. We'll look and see. It is a relatively new street that did attempt to incorporate some traffic calming measures into it when it was built. I think we only took dedication of it within the last 2 years. Yeah, so I think maybe at least an effort to look at it to see if there's anything else that could be done. And maybe we could,
Calming measures.
yes, yeah, and maybe we could collaborate with the owner of the properties on either side of the road to see if they might be a partner in if there's anything that comes up.
25 mile per hour speed. Solved.
Yeah. Has there been are there any measures in place to allow for enforcement on that section of Sixth, Chief? Yeah.
So if you're talking about speed, the problem with that specific area to enforce is the current technology that the state makes us use, which is the stopwatch. So we would need a place to sit off of the road, driveway, et cetera, that somebody would be willing to let us use, that we would then be able to post or paint 2 white lines across the road 200 feet apart. And that would allow an officer to clock the vehicles as they went past in either direction. Moravian Manor currently has speed boxes out there that display the speed. I don't know what type of data can get pulled from them. It probably, well, I just saying nothing.
We've asked, they actually don't record data like ours do.
Okay. So, I mean, we've directed patrols out there in the past for high visibility to sit at an intersection or to address a concern that's been raised at one point or another. They do patrol that area routinely, even without being directed to point their attention to a certain situation. But, you know, the opportunity to run speed out there is limited. It can be done. It would just require some cooperation with likely one of the people that live there that would allow the officer to sit.
Sure. Or if it would be a driveway that the manor still controls as part of one of their properties.
Correct.
Would that be something that we could look into, maybe collaboratively working with the manor to see if there is a location? I know often even to have the white lines down makes people aware that there's a potential for enforcement. I think without, then they feel a little less reserved in those locations.
Yeah, and the other piece to mention, also just discussed, is the speed tables. I mean, they are a noticeable element when you're driving over there, the traffic islands. So there are other features, but certainly could look more holistically to see how those might interplay with some enforcement with the speed.
Or do we have any of our mobile speed boxes anymore that we'd be able to record data on? I know we have a couple of fixed ones, but
I believe there are some that we can move. Right now they're all deployed, but there's a potential to move one of them around depending on what Chief Hahn's looking into.
I know often it's helpful to gather that information to see what again the reality is versus the perception of the speed, and to see where we would be at in an enforcement situation.
Right, and I think the other advantage to looking to move one of those is we can control when that move happens. If the concern is school traffic, perhaps it makes more sense to move it towards the end of summer, so we have what that looks like compared to what school being in session looks like, and see if there's any noticeable difference in trends as far as the time of day, month, seasons, etc.
Sure, that's great. Okay. Thank you for your input tonight and your feedback. And I think Streets and Traffic will look into if there's anything that can be done with any additional calming measures or supplementing some. And then I think if we look at the potential for gathering data of the speed, and then looking if there's a potential for some, at least the opportunity to have enforcement out there.
Another thought is, I think in Moravian Manor, they have the speed tables, but coming from the new roundabout toward Moravian Manors on 6th Street, those, what is it, Marion Street or whatever it is there, there's 2 streets. They're just straight run, no crosswalks, nothing that sort of warns people that there's a retirement village ahead.
Yeah, maybe slow them down a little before they get there.
Yeah.
Bruce,
Okay.
I'm sure you could, the chief would enjoy sitting on your porch.
I'd be happy to connect you sometime to hear any specific.
Sure.
Good, thank you.
I know that the police officers, I've seen patrol cars in the manor, so thank you. I know they're there quite often at different times. That's helpful as well.
There is parking Too, so I'm curious.
Right, yeah, I mean, it could be possible. I think there would be two limitations that come to my mind. First is, one, the officer would more likely be able to enforce traffic going one direction because they're parked parallel to the curb. That's the direction they're looking, as opposed to cars coming towards them. So they just have to make sure they could see both lines and have, accuracy in when they're clocking. And then two, yeah, with the car being that close to the road, I think you probably get a better deterrence, because if somebody's going to drive past the marked police car at that speed, it's not always likely, but I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. But putting the car in the parking stall lane, I think would probably have more of a deterrence effect than it would be practical for speed enforcement.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone in the audience this evening or online? No? I think we are looking for one more motion this evening.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for joining us.